Three, two, one. Well, hi there, and welcome to 2026. Happy New Year, and welcome to this training video. My name is Karen Burgoyne, and this one is called Autism, Sports, and the Outdoors, my story. Let's get on with the presentation. The topics of discussion in this video are an introduction of myself and what I do, my early stories of playing sport, teamwork and taking instructions to win the game. Strategy to assist those with autism to play sport or neurodiversity in their interests. And then I'll be giving you my contact details. An introduction of who I am. So my name is Karen Burgoyne. I'm the founder, director, CEO of my own business, K-Talk. I was diagnosed at the age of 30 with what was known back then in the late 90s with Asperger's syndrome. Prior to that, nothing was known back in the 70s or 80s when I was young. I went round not knowing what I had, and I struggled to understand how I hurt other people. So I would say something that I couldn't control in my own brain, that all of a sudden came out of my mouth that was so offensive because I didn't understand why I did that. But because my behaviour, social and communication skills weren't developed back then, and I had no help from early intervention or anything else, I didn't mean what I intentionally said, and I had to go around learning that that wasn't appropriate for me to say so. But also, I had to learn how to correct that mistake and think before I spoke to someone about their circumstance, to learn to be more empathetic and compassionate. That took a long time to do, but that's what I can do now. And there will be some people on the autism spectrum that may not be able to do that. They may or they may not. It all depends on their background, where they've come from, and how they've been trained by their parents or carers. So the diagnosis also helped me to understand why I behaved the way I did. I felt good and I felt bad. And I said to Mum and the psychologist, I feel good. And they said, why? And I said, well, I think I've got a name now to what my problem is. Yeah, okay. So why do you feel bad? And then they had to guess because I had no idea of how to express my feelings back then. About the things that I had unintentionally said that I didn't really mean to hurt other people. So that's when I worked on my journey, and there's more courses on my website available, ktalks.au, and you'll see those contact details at the end of this training video. The lack of expectations and acceptance on me wasn't fair, and I was always the problem that nobody wanted to have around or have anything to do in the long run, which was quite sad. I was never one who had an interest in sport when I was young. I was the one who hated swimming lessons, calisthenics, and tennis, or anything else that I tried in my earlier lifetime. I would always sit on the sidelines to watch the game. I was so bored with this all the time. I wished that I wasn't there and I could do something else with my time, whilst my sister or her friends were playing their games of tennis or whatever. Because the rules were never clearly explained to me, nor were there any visual or physical demonstrations so that I could learn how to play the game properly and fairly and be part of a team. But what was a team? And how could I belong to a team when I was never accepted by others at the time? When I was little, I've been calisthenics, but also playing tennis, as those were the two main ones that my mother would enrol both my sister and I at the time. There really wasn't much on for kids at that time that I can remember, but up at the Big Diamond Valley Sports Centre, which is now still there on the corner of the Greensboro Bypass and Civic Drive, up near where Melbourne Polytechnic's Greensboro campus is, many people play sports there. Basketball, netball, ping pong. I remember going there for a game of ping pong, but I didn't understand the rules of the game. But calisthenics I'd hate because of the music, the bright lights of the stage, the makeup and the leg tan, and the constant change of the costumes for the competition. We also had jazz ballet in McLeod at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning. And I loved the music. Didn't understand what I had to do in class, but also dance in this silly competition that I had to be part of. With tennis, I didn't understand the rules of the game because I was just hitting a bat over a ball, but it didn't make sense that I was getting like love 45 or love 1, or the player always won, the opposite player always won the game. I never won a game because I didn't understand what to do. So it was far easier for me to sit in the umpire seat where I could watch it rather than play it. I found out that both me and sports don't go down very well together. I even hate the AFL or other sports being played on the TV also. It's so boring, I'd rather not have the TV on. I don't actually watch TV. I only watch TV if Mum's there or she's recorded a TV show for me. But I never sort of have the time to watch TV because my mind is focusing on other things. But a game of football to me is like all these grown men are running around the field and kicking a bag of air on the field and kicking that bag of wind through goalposts. It doesn't make sense. But for everyone else who attends the game or are members of the actual clubs, they worship it, they love it. Not me, I've got no interest whatsoever in it. Couldn't be bothered with all that. And quite frankly, I don't even play any sport at all at the moment. So for me, I've been really limited to walking and not playing sports because of my physical aspect of having undiagnosed autism, but also chronic croup and breathing issues when I was younger. Finances, time, and the constant looking after people have also cost me valuable experiences, as well as developing chronic fibromyalgia over the years. However, that's about to change for me big time. And I think I can't afford this and I can't afford that, but going for a walk out in the lovely sunshine doesn't cost anything at all. And you're out in nature and you're looking at animals and hearing birds sing. To me, that's the best thing. But see, if I could afford a scooter or a bike, I'd be riding it around the neighbourhood all the time. I used to love riding a bike, bouncing up and down on the trampoline, and doing things on my own. Softer sports that suited just me. But back when I was a child, I was never diagnosed with autism, you see, as it wasn't known back then as it is now. I'm a thrill seeker. I do anything out of the ordinary that nobody else does, or even couldn't do, or couldn't even do. Anything from bungee tramping to flying foxes, anything that gives me a thrill or an adrenaline rush, but takes me to new heights that I've never done before. But even being an adult, I've always found you're never too old to have a swing in a park, particularly if you've sometimes still got the mind of a child. So if I find a park, I'll find a swing and I'll get on that swing, and I might only be on it for 10, 15 minutes, but it's that rhythmic sensation that helps my autistic brain back, back, forward, and it's like a rhythm. And sometimes I have the time and space to think for myself and make some plans for the short or long term future that I want to do. When I was in Perth for a conference recently, November 2023, that was the very first time I'd went to Perth, by the way, I was going to McDonald's to get some lunch, and it was quite a fair distance away in the middle of the city. And I looked at my maps and it was telling me to keep walking, and I thought no, because it was getting far too hot. So I went to the corner opposite where the hotel I was staying at, and I scanned the app and I downloaded it to my phone and had to set it all up on my phone. And I literally actually rode an e-scooter for the first time. Oh, it was so much fun. And when I got to the middle of the city, the whole place came alive. It was like the buildings were sitting on the Swan River and the whole city was behind it. So even though this was my very first time, after the conference for 2 days, as I make a holiday out of the if I go over to a conference, I make it holiday as well and do some things crazy that I've never done, that I don't get the chance to do myself. But I'd stopped here and I'd taken a photo to show Mum, and she didn't believe me. And this was on the banks of the Swan River, which was absolutely spectacular. But this was way out of my comfort zone to do this. But it was an amazing, incredible experience that I'll never forget. Wow. Gyms and germs. When I was doing my job as a lollipop lady for 20 years, I started going to a local gym doing exercises there. But I never made it on a regular basis, although I tried to do so. I tried to schedule it in, but then other important things came up in my diary that I had to fix or attend to. But time is a factor that I could never really fit this thing into my lifestyle. I'd love to go back again, that would be great. But when you're caring for someone, you've got to be almost with them 24/7. Gyms and germs. I always called the germs of others having a dented immune system. So I was always constantly at the doctors getting antibiotics for these things. No sooner I'd be better and I'd recovered, I'd go back to the gym to start building up my strength again, only to be knocked down again. Yours were the very same thing. We didn't go well together. It seems that way. When I was always in a pool, it seemed like my body and my skin was always allergic to the chlorine and the other chemicals that the staff put in the water, keep the germs away from others. While I enjoyed the water exercises, I always came out feeling different before I went in the water. I always suffered an itching, dry skin sensation reaction from it, which made the activity not worth the resulting stress. Then having another shower on top of that made me feel like a drowned rat. I couldn't tolerate it anymore. My body had had enough. 10-pin bowling. In the early 90s, I tried this and I actually enjoyed it. It was a social outlet for me, but once again I didn't understand the rules of the game as they weren't explained to me properly. What, you just get some shoes, get a ball, and knock the pins out as much as you can. Sounds simple and easy, feasible? Well, yes, but how many pins do I have to knock down? Oh, well, you have to knock down all of them if you can and try and get as many strikes as you can. Well, that wasn't quite as easy as what I thought. But there were people who'd been bowling for a long time, and one guy actually achieved the higher goal of 304 or 400 because he bowled 10 strikes per frame, which is 1 to 9, and then you get 3 goes at the end of the game, I think. And he bowled 3 strikes in that other thing, and that gave him the very top score, and his name is sitting in Keorn Park in Victoria. I was put in a team of 3 foreign men. So my team was obviously named 3 men and a little lady who constantly mocked me because of my skill levels at the time. One encouraged me in the game, but that was it. Once more and once again, it was the cost factors that I stopped all of that activity, but I got sick of it in the end. The lights and sounds were driving me insane. But also, I was feeling very lonely still, and I was trying to make these connections, but I still felt that I didn't belong. And one day we finished 10th, and we literally got a trophy with a horse's ass, the horse's back legs with its tail. I was so ashamed of that, and that made me feel intimidated and humiliated being 10th. But what could I do? It was just a life experience I had to go through. I don't think I ended up joining the league again, but I'm thinking about it, being a phantom bowler. What is or was a team? So I've some questions here, and this may trigger off some thoughts about how you belong to your own team at work, or how your autistic son or daughter belong to a team, or how they're learning to participate in a team of their own sport. But this might be a good training video for you to point out to all the coaches or any other organisation that they're associated with, and show them this video if you can do that. What is a team? How can I belong to it? How does it all work together to achieve its goal? How do people accept me in this team without judging me? What are the barriers that stop people from accepting me in this team? But how do I contribute or work as part of a team itself? How do I take instructions of the team by hands-on or visual experiences so that I learn as an autistic adult to participate in it fully? So I'll give you an example. I work as part of a sound audio production team at my local church. And what I do is sound audio engineering. And I work together with a team of musicians and singers. And I need to make sure that they not only hear themselves through the fallback speakers, but the sound is balanced so it's not too loud or not too soft, though, so that people can't hear. And it's a big thing to do. It's a big challenge for me to do, but it's easy and simple because I've been doing it for so long. But if something goes wrong, a lot of people come running up and come and fix it. And they tune it in or do whatever, and they do what that I may not need to know. I may not know what's going on at the time. Some people have a lot more technical knowledge than what I do, but we all work together in a team, and that's what's important. And we get the job done, and we achieve the goals. of the church by leading the service and making sure that sound is just right, perfect for people, even for the hearing aid loop. But I've learned over time to work in teams, and I contribute sometimes more than what others do. But I make sure that everyone, if I work in a team, works fairly and justifiably, so that everyone's contributing and that task is completed on time. The outdoors for me. My most favourite place to be is the beach. No matter where I go, that's what I enjoy the most. And there's nothing like driving with your windows down, listening to a bit of music in your car, and enjoying some time at the beach. I like it when it's not crowded and not too hot, not too cold. So I've got to pick my times and spaces where I do that. But I get there. Here are Mum and I enjoying our time at one of the beaches where we usually go. Sometimes we usually have fish and chips at a beach in the western suburbs of Melbourne. Mum and I were actually on a boat down at San Remo that particular time. That was more than 15 years ago. And we were on our way to see the seals at the rocks, which you can get on the boat from Cows. And it was quite an interesting experience, although we didn't like the smell of the seals or the walruses that were laying on the rocks and making all the noises, etc. But Mum and I have done a lot together, and we've achieved a lot through our lives and enjoying our trips together. What do you do with your mum and dad? I also love to get outdoors and watch freight trains go by. My dad got me into this more than 20 years ago. I always enjoy my time up there on my own at Tallarook, which is near Seymour, and watching these big things fly by. So in 2027, these trains will then be double stacked because they're going via the inland rail from Albury all the way to Brisbane, and they're building that now as we speak, 2026. Head to the website inlandrail.com.au to see more and learn about the inland rail that's going to replace the East Coast line, which trains currently run through Sydney, and they have to pull in with Sydney trains. It's quite difficult sometimes for those freight trains to get through to and from Brisbane and Melbourne. This is me with my closest friends Andrew and Barb. They came up to my place last year, 2025, I think, and then I took them for a drive around my neighbourhood. They've always been there for me. They are exceptionally special to my heart and deep in my soul. I took them up to the local dam to show them what it was like. They absolutely loved it. But at the Yan Yean Dam, which is where I took them, you can actually take your own picnic or even have a barbecue there, but you've got to take your rubbish home. And this is another lovely little spot to go to. Teamwork and taking instructions. Some autistic people find it hard to take instructions whilst doing sport in a team. They either take over the whole team and the coach and be the centre of attention and want or have the whole team to do what they want them to do. But this doesn't always work out how the team works, or the other team members, or what suits the other team, or even the coaches. Supporting autistic individuals in sport requires tailored communication and coaching strategies that account for different learning styles, sensory sensitivities, and a preference for structure. Autistic adults really thrive when their instructions are clear, easy to picture, and delivered visually. Try to avoid blunt instructions, e.g., pick the ball, when they may not know how to do that in a soccer game. You as a coach have to literally show them what to do in how to kick that ball so that they gain the skills and learn by rote memory, so that then they can go and practice onto the field and do that for themselves. Taking the time to learn about your players' likes and dislikes and what they need your help with will also help you to create an inclusive environment that supports their participation. Be direct and literal, straight up, front, direct to the point. Avoid metaphors, sarcasm, and idioms, e.g., instead of run like the wind, say, go, run as fast as you can. Use visual aids. Supplement verbal instructions with demonstrations, whiteboards, picture cards, or coloured markers out on the field or court. Here is a sample of a visual aid for an ASD or neurological or neurodiverse person. You can get these developed to suit the person that's either playing on the running on the track, or knows when to stop, or knows when to go, or there's different things that you can do. For parents, carers. This is just one example that you could develop a timetable of your sons and daughters' sports activities during the week. Sons or daughters ASD or autism spectrum disorder or neurodiversity that have their sports activities to stick on your fridge or in their spot in the car of what they're doing that specific day of the week for their sports activity. Strategies for coaches or teams. Break down tasks. Instead of multi-step instructions, break skills into smaller bite-sized components. One-on-one feedback. Use breaks or stoppages to provide individual, concise feedback, as public correction can cause stress and overload. Be upfront and direct, straight to the point with the person, whilst giving them feedback about their game. It may not go down well with them, as constructive criticism shakes them to their core, but they'll soon learn from it all. They'll pick it up really quickly, what they've learned from you as their coach, and then you'll be finding that they'll be doing even better in the team because of this. The 10-second rule. Allow extra processing time. Give around 10 to 30 seconds after giving an instruction before repeating it or expecting a response from either the neurodiverse person or the person with autism spectrum disorder or ASD. Give them time to reiterate what you've said to them and allow them to say it back to you to clarify your instructions to them as you, their coach. Visual schedules. Provide a visual or written schedule of the session so athletes know what to expect. Consistent routine. Keep warm-ups and session structures consistently to reduce anxiety. Transition warnings. Give clear warnings, e.g., 5 minutes left, 1 minute left before changing activities. Clear boundaries. Use cones or lines to physically define the playing area to reduce confusion. Reduce background noise. Minimize unnecessary noise and consider allowing ear defenders. Physical setup. Consider the environment, e.g., avoiding loud, echo-prone gyms or proximity to other noisy groups. Uniform equipment comfort. Be flexible with uniforms if they cause tactile discomfort. Regulate energy. Allow for breaks and understand that some behaviours, e.g., hand flapping, pacing, are self-regulation tools, not defiance, as well as self-stimulation. Coaching philosophy. Connect before coaching. Meet with the athlete and parents or carers before the first session to understand their interests, triggers, and communication preferences. Focus on their strengths. Leverage the focus, dedication, and passion often found in autistic athletes. Adaptation over expectation. If an athlete is struggling to adapt the activity, if the athlete is struggling, adapt the activity rather than expecting them to conform to traditional methods. So, don't just tell. Demonstrate the skills physically or use a peer buddy to model the activity. Common pitfall. Assuming the lack of response means defiance or lack of interest. It often means the athlete is still processing the information or is overstimulated or overloaded. Use a visual schedule to show what activities the session will involve. This will help players understand what is planned and can reduce anxieties around unfamiliar routines. Find the best way to display it clearly so players can check what is up next. Think carefully about your environment and your players' strengths and support needs. Step out of your own shoes as a coach and step into theirs and see if you can experience what they're going through at the time. This will help you to create an environment. This will help you create an environment where players can be themselves and thrive. For example, think about the noises that might make players feel uncomfortable, e.g., sirens or whistle, and have an alternative option on hand, e.g., a visual sign to start and stop activities. Also consider that some autistic children or neurodiverse children may run away if they feel anxious or overwhelmed, so having volunteers and a safe, quiet area can help. Shorten the activities. Use small groups or adding in breaks can help some players to stay engaged in the task. Allow different ways to play. This can support children to participate in their own way. You can offer alternative ways to do footy skills, e.g., kick off a cone instead of a drop punt, or alternative roles, e.g., a child could be an umpire helper instead of being a player. Remember, some players might be very keen to join in, but this might take some time if they prefer to watch the game first to see what it's all about and if they like it or not. Set up activities in a way that provides routine and consistency. This also helps autistic and neurodiverse players feel comfortable to participate. Prepare players in advance for any changes in activity, e.g., give a 5-minute warning and use the same cue, e.g., a certain word, each time the group transitions to a new activity. Well, that's the end of the presentation. If you'd like more information or if you'd like to do some online courses or have me run them for your um, coaching academy or organization, I'm happy to have a chat with you or talk to you about developing a training package for your coaches if you'd like me to, or I can come out and speak and give a one-on-one presentation. But here are my details. Please contact me at your nearest opportunity or as soon as possible to discuss this further with me. I look forward to working with you. And that's the end of this presentation. Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, don't forget to like, comment, share, and most of all, subscribe to my YouTube channel here. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.